Okay. Hey guys, it's Victor. Gimmeabreakman. So I was riding my bicycle yesterday. Oh, this is a laundry vlog, by the way, which means I'm going to go off and talk about a million things on tangents and stuff. I don't remember what I was listening to, but I was listening to the idea that if you get angry, you lose. I had that in my mind. I was riding my bicycle, listening to a podcast, and there was a red light ahead of me. It was a big road, 3-lane street. And I was on the left side, riding my bicycle, and I was behind two cars. Two cars were ahead of me, stopped at the red light. And it was a red light, so I was like, okay. So I'd been listening to the podcast, so then I was just looking down at my phone. My phone is connected to my bicycle, right? So I was just, I don't know, scrolling to the next podcast or whatever. I don't know what I was doing exactly. But I mean, I calculated that there was a red light ahead of me, about 100 meters ahead of me, so there was nowhere to go. Suddenly, the guy behind me in the car lays on his horn, and I don't know if you know it's illegal to honk at someone for no reason, needless honking. It's kind of funny the laws about that because no one ever gets in trouble for that, but it's technically illegal anyway. And it's illegal to. I learned this from Cruz. God, what was his channel name? I forgot his name, but the bicycling in Japan guy. I think his name was Cruz. Yeah, Jesus Christ. God. Anyway, anytime I want to bring up something in a video, I completely forget what I'm talking on. The specific names, I can never name things when I got the camera on me. Anyway, apparently, if you're riding down the bicycle, if you're riding down the street on your bicycle, it's early in the morning. It's 6:49 in the morning, and someone's ahead of you on the sidewalk. You cannot honk your bicycle, or you can't ring your bell at them. That's illegal too. So you can't warn people. So what I like to do is like. If someone's ahead of me on the bicycle, and I'm walking and now I'm on the bicycle, and someone's on the sidewalk, I will kind of sing a song or whistle or say excuse me, because it's not illegal to say excuse me. So I'll say "sumimasen," big voice. Anyway, so the guy behind me in the car, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? It's a red light. Where are you gonna go? Why are you honking? There's a red light. And I said, what's the problem? There's lots of, there's nowhere room. We're stuck in traffic. So I took my bicycle and I went over to his window. I said, what's the problem? It's a red light. He's like, you're on your phone. I'm like, it's a red light. Where are you going to go? He's like, you're on the phone. Your phone, that's illegal. Said, it's illegal to be honking at people for no reason. So I lost my temper. But anyway, so that's one of those silly things where after you're done with it, you're like, what was the point of that at all? But anyway, what's the point of this conversation? Just to tell you that, man, you try to change, things, how to behave, but then something happens and, you're back in the old patterns of flipping off people and getting angry. But anyway, so it's hard to change, but it's not. It is not a. It's not something you shouldn't try to do. It's still a valiant endeavor to try to change. And I think I've been trying to change most of my life in one way or another, either physically, the body, or mentally, psychologically, intellectually. Yeah. So I went to take my kids to see Nagi, which is this video is about friendship, by the way, as you can tell from the title. And I don't have the kid with me today. See, nobody here, because today is Undokai Day. Undokai means it's exercise. Well, literally exercise day. It's sports day. It's sports day at the school. So although it is a Saturday and I'm off to pick up Ji-chan and Ba-chan, my in-laws, my elderly in-laws, I'm off to pick them up so they don't have to ride the bus and everything, because they want to see the Undokai, the sports day festivities. All the kids compete in races and stuff like that, games. My kid has won last year. He's very fast. His butt is like an engine of muscle, man. It's like he'll turn his ass towards my wife and say, go ahead, hit it, it doesn't hurt. She'll hit him really hard with all her might. and he'll say, "Oh, but it didn't hurt." Like his ass is like just muscle. I mean, he's got a caboose on there, and that powers his legs, which his whole body is just so fast kid. But he kind of runs like a cartoon character, like anyway, but he's fast. Anyway, today's undokai. I'm gonna go pick up the in-laws. And I took my kids to go see Nagi, which is a Blue Lock movie. If you don't know Blue Lock, it's an anime, which I'm not really into anime, but I got into this one. I'm not into soccer, even though I played as a kid. I was really good, by the way. Goalie on the select team in our medium-sized American town. But Blue Lock is about a endeavor. Speaking of endeavor again, getting that word again. It's about this guy named Mr. Ego. He's the skinny guy who's with glasses. He's kind of an intellectual, and he's decided he's going to put together the best. He's going to create Japan's best striker, like the guy who scores goals in soccer games. They're called strikers. In case you're not familiar, a lot of you probably are not familiar. A lot of you probably call soccer football, but whatever. You understand what I'm talking about. You understand the words coming out of my mouth. So let's not linger on the minuscule details there. So this guy Ego, he invites all the best strikers in the high schools all over Japan, under 20, and he invites them to this like a big jail basically, and he separates everyone into teams, and using they're very variations of three on three, one, I think even 1-on-1 in the beginning, but or one against everybody. Anyway, he creates all these it's a little bit like Squid Game, and he creates all these exercises or tests to try to eliminate. It's an elimination game, and little by little everyone's whittled away until eventually this season 1 is done. So season 1 we got like most interesting people are gone. Not most, I'm sorry, only the interesting people are left, of course. But a lot of cool people were also cut. Anyway, end of season 1, and that ended like over a year ago on Netflix, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Netflix. But it's also been shown on, I think, Amazon Prime and Disney as well. People speeding by me as usual. Anyway, in between seasons, the new season starts in October this year. But in the meantime, there's a movie that came out called Nagi, the story of Nagi, I guess. And Nagi is a character who's good friends with Leo. Leo has purple hair. Nagi has white hair. All the characters have like unbelievable hair, colored hair. Some of them are quite effeminate and like women. I mean, like beautiful, long-haired, flowing women. No bangs though. None of the men with long hair have bangs. So anyway, more like hippies, right? Like Conan the Barbarian type hairstyles. Anyway, Nagi is good friends with Leo, and he joined soccer because Leo wanted him to join soccer because Leo recognized that Nagi had this great ability, and they joined together with the goal, with the kind of like the pinky promise that they're going to become the best in the world. And halfway through season, or part, I don't know when it happened, but a few episodes into season 1, Nagi realizes that to get better, he never really cared about soccer. He just played it because he was good at it. Sometimes you don't care about something, but you're good at it, so you do it, like gay sex. But just kidding. Anyway, you can put that wherever you want. That's what he said. So, Nagi and Leo are friends. Oh, by the way, I watch a lot of Renaissance periodization, which is a fitness guy, big guy he's a professor of sports medicine at Brooklyn College or something, but he tells too many sexual jokes. It's like, dude, you're like, I want to say he's older than me, but he's not. He's just bald, so he looks older. He's huge because he's on steroids, and he admits it. But he's always like, every other joke is, oh my God, like, come on, you're in your 40s, dude. We get it. Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just doing it for the audience, but after a while it gets a bit tiring. Maybe that's how you guys feel about my jokes, but who knows? Doesn't matter. I don't do it that often, I think. Maybe I do. Anyway, back to Nagi and Leo. Nagi realizes he has to leave his friend to become a better soccer player, and he suddenly and he becomes good friends with the main character of the movie, which of course now his name, what's his name? I forgot his name now. Yonashi or something. Yoishi. I forgot. Anyway, the main character who we're all rooting for, who starts off like second from the bottom, and now he's like the top 10 at the end of the season 1. He realizes, he sees this guy's potential, and he says, if I want to be better, I got to team up with this guy and learn, play with him. And it's interesting. Suddenly, soccer has become interesting to him. And of course, Leo feels so betrayed that his friend has left him. And we left at the end of the movie, basically the movie repeats almost everything that happened in the TV show. So, but there's more of a sense of closure at the movie, because at the end of the movie, Leo, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, Leo accepts that Nagi has to do what he has to do. He kind of forgives him for it, and realizes that the takeaway that I had and that I discuss with my kids is that sometimes, if you want to be better, a better version of yourself, you've got to leave your friends behind. So that's the message. And my son, because I sometimes tell my son, you're not going to be at this elementary school forever. You're going to. Right now, I'm stopping because a baseball player kid has decided to cross the street, and all the traffic has stopped for him because everyone's very polite that way. Anyway, that was a message. And it got me thinking about friendship a bit, because that idea, you can't go home again, is, I think, the title of a Thomas Wolfe novel, or something Wolfe novel. I think maybe it's not Thomas Wolfe, but some Wolfe guy. Maybe somebody knows, put it in the description, or put it in the comment section. But if you want to improve your life, sometimes you got to let go of the past, and you've got to move forward without your family, without your friends. You can't go home again, I mean, of course you can, but psychologically, you've got to move on, or you can't grow, because sometimes your past kind of anchors you to a person that you were. Because, even now, when I go home to Florida, not really my home, because my parents live in a town I've never lived in. But when I go visit my parents, which I can definitely say is my home, my parents, being with my parents, my mom and dad, everything kind of reverts back to the way it used to be. And my mom criticizes my clothing and my hairstyle, and it just says annoying, annoying mom things, which is fine when you're a teenager. But dude, I'm like 56 years old now. Though I guess I do speak a little bit younger than my age. Yeah, so my son goes to an elementary school now, and he has good friends, and we sometimes, mention to him that, you might move to a different school as your grades get better, or when you go to junior high school, maybe we'll put you somewhere a little more competitive, a little more difficult. He's like, no, I want to stay with my friends, which is, of course, natural for every kid to say. But I think he got it into his head that sometimes you have to, leave your friends behind. Things like that. So I thought that's a good message. But it also got me thinking about my attitude towards friends, because after getting married, you're little by little, and especially after having kids, little by little you have less and less time for friends, and you actually have less, I guess, need in a way psychologically, because my kids are great. I often feel guilty for even thinking this, but I sometimes, and I apologize, this is not something I consciously do, but I sometimes think, wow, how, those people who don't have kids, they're missing out on. I almost feel sorry for them. And again, I apologize. I know that's a really closed-minded or a fucked up thing to say, maybe you could think, but it's not I can't help the way I feel. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying, I suppose if my situation were different, I'd have a complete, but I'm sure they find joy in other things. And they do certainly have freedoms that I do not. So there's a trade-off. But I mean, the joy that I feel when I'm with my kids, or seeing them being silly and stupid, or I'm just I'm happy to be with them. So half of the chance, and that's one reason I don't make so many videos, is because I choose to go pick up my kids from school and walk them home from school. It's not a long walk. It's only 20 minutes, but I choose to go there, walk, drop off my bicycle at home, and then walk to school, walk back with them, and spend time with them. And often we'll do little errands like go shopping or go to the bookstore. Yesterday we went to my wife was late working, so a little bit, which is not very common, but we decided to go to the chicken shop where I mentioned the other day and get some chicken, and that was fun. And we went to the grocery store and got 50% off sashimi, which is always fun because it's got a huge 3,000 yen plate of sashimi for half price. At the end of the day, everything gets, if you want to save money in Japan, go to the supermarket towards the end of the day and look for half price foods, like sashimi or sushi. I sometimes get the sushi, but the wife likes sashimi, so we get sashimi. And it's good for you, I mean, no less carbs. Trying to watch that. Right? But we pigged out yesterday, man. We also got the fried foods at the chicken place. When I got home, my wife was like, "Yay, this is great! I don't have to cook." Did she cook? I don't know if she cooked. I think she didn't cook. I think we just ate what I brought home. So it's a bit expensive, I suppose. The whole meal must have cost about 4,000 yen, which would have been, it's much more than if we had cooked, but still really cheap, Oh my God! All these, I can't believe it's 7:04 and the cars are lined up in front of me. Oh, there's some crew teams out there. You're not going to pass them for a while, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 people sitting in a boat. You're going to pass them in a minute. You'll see them in a second. This is the crew. You'll see them in a bright yellow boat, so I think you'll be able to see them. Oh, can you see that? Can you see that? Yeah, just the tip of their heads. Sorry, we just passed them. Sorry, the camera's too low. But anyway, it's always nice to see the crew. I don't know why. Makes me happy. Okay, there we go. Friendships. Yeah, so back to friends and all that. So I don't have that much time anymore. And I'm kind of a jerk when it comes to friends because I try to, I've often had this idea that if you want to be better, you got to hang out with quality people. And I've cut ties with a few people that I honestly just thought were holding me down. I don't want to get into too many specifics about that, but there were some, and I've told them, two good friends actually in the last 5 years. I've said, dude, I don't like the way you're living your life. I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I know it sounds kind of childish, but we were really good friends, and I just felt like they weren't associating them with them wasn't helping me grow in any way. So I made. I was a pretty heartless son of a bitch, to be honest, about the whole thing. With one of them, and a lot of it was connected to politics. And you might think, my sister is one of my sisters is a Republican, and often will defend Republican points of view, like Kyle Rittenhouse was not a bad guy. And actually, she kind of convinced me that it's not as cut and dried as the media would make it out to be. But, at the end of the day, there's still a couple of people died. I don't remember how many people. I guess I don't care that much if I don't remember the specifics anymore. But anyway, but my sister once wrote on Twitter, I think, before I unfollowed her, that I think it's stupid to cut ties over politics. But you know what? Some politics represent some core values. And I think if why do I keep adjusting the camera like who cares? This is a listening video. You don't have to look at me. Stop looking at me. I think there's nothing wrong. I think that's a valid reason to cut ties with someone if their politics reflects their morality and their ethics and they don't align with yours. And I probably would even extend this. I wouldn't. Of course, I wouldn't extend to my family. They get a free pass. So even though my sister's a Republican, she has other great qualities. It's almost like I said she's like got Down syndrome or something. No, I mean, it's not like she's a leper or anything, but I disagree with her on a lot of political stuff, and I don't know. She goes out of her way to argue for things that well, mostly I don't care about, and mostly I disagree with. But I came across an interesting podcast the other day called Nudge. It's just this thing on. It's kind of interesting. It's about how society tries to nudge you this way, nudge you that way, how to get people to do things that you want, or to promote behavior that you want. But one of the things that they pointed out was that when people have opinions about abortion or the death penalty or immigration, that basically no matter what you say, they're not going to change their minds. Even if you really create a compelling case of why they are wrong, they will stick to their guns. So it's kind of pointless to argue with them. So I want to say, so if you're against immigration, it basically means you're racist. As far as I can tell, because that's the only real. I mean, people seem to find reasons to justify being against immigration. Of course, and there should be some control. We need immigration. The USA has a declining birth rate right now. It's not sustainable. If we cut off immigration completely, we would just shrink as a nation. Japan as well, South Korea as well. Even China, I think, is now below that maintenance level, which I forget what it is. I think it's 1.7 or something, but maybe 2.2. I forget. But anyway, the point is we're below it. So we need immigration for that reason alone. But at the same time, we can't just let anybody in, and as many people in. Maybe anybody's okay, but maybe just limit the number. I don't know. Anyway, back to this. I've cut people off in my life because I disagreed with them, or they weren't, or on a very, I disagreed with what I perceive to be their core values, even if they're nice people. So I don't think being nice is enough to keep a relationship. It's enough to be friendly. I mean, but I guess I don't hate the guys, and I wish them all well. But that was one guy. Another guy I cut off because he just wasn't supportive, and he had tones of I felt were kind of racist, and he wasn't supportive. And it turns out he became like a MAGA nutcase after that, which wasn't the reason at all. Like I didn't even know he had those opinions, but I found out later that he was like maybe not MAGA, but he was hardcore anti-virus and was saying things like anyone who got the vaccine is corrupted, and he never got any of the vaccine, so he's the only pure person around, and everyone else is. And my brother actually was dealing with him, and my brother's like, "What do you want me to do? Like get vaccinated? I mean, you can't reverse that procedure. So what do you want me to do?" It was kind of pointless you arguing about, "Oh my God, you got vaccinated. You're not pure anymore. I'm the only pure blood around." It's just crazy shit. So I kind of nipped that in the bud. Though the guy that I feel bad about that guy because he was one of the most creative and interesting people I knew. But again, I think that there's a trade-off. I could hang out or associate with someone who actually did help me on a creative level. I thought he was very inspirational, actually, in many ways. He often did what he wanted to do, and living here in Japan. And he didn't take the normal 9-to-5 job. He just kind of got by doing his own thing, and I really admire that about him. And I actually miss him a bit, and also a very, very funny guy and very clever. But again, he was not supportive at all. He couldn't seem to sympathize with my position at all when I had problems. He wasn't supportive as a friend, I thought. And then there was always that underlying tone of racism. He wanted, white wife, or he had said it before, I don't know. But he would date Japanese women. It was fucked up. There's no point getting into that. But the other thing is, and I'm getting close to my Jichanbacha stuff, was I talked to my old friend Sabino, which I mentioned in a couple of videos ago, the pointless guy. And I told him, it's kind of funny that I kind of resist calling him and talking to him because I kind of want to keep him in my memory. I want to freeze him in my memory as that guy that I met on the internet years and years ago. That wild, crazy, smoking, doing crazy shit, blowing up his computer kind of guy. And I told him, that. And then there's a woman that I used to work with when I was 19 years old. She was 50. And now she's like in her 80s. And she asked me to Skype her. And I honestly didn't want to because, and I know this is selfish as hell. I wanted to keep her in my memory as that 50-year-old woman who helped me when I was, young, and who we lived together for a little while, not as lovers or anything. She helped me out by letting me crash on her couch for a while. We became good friends, and we actually went traveling together to Peru. Everyone thought we were lovers, I guess, but we were. But she was a cool woman, very intelligent, very adult. I think she reached a level of adultness that I don't think I've ever had. She just knew how to do shit, and we did, and we worked in the publishing business, and I met a lot of really cool people that way. I met the guy who wrote the Fletch novels. That was cool. I met Alan. What's the guy's name? The guy who wrote Soldier. What is it? Taylor Spy. He did all those. God, I can't remember. John Le Carré. John Le Carré. I don't think that was his real name though. Actually. Anyway, I met a lot of really interesting people, and she was very professional. But I didn't want to Skype with her and kind of corrupt the memory that I have of her. And I guess that's my problem. I really got to get over that. I got to let people grow. That's kind of my criticism of people. I guess I've just realized this is good. I made this video because I just realized what a hypocrite I am. Yeah, you guys are watching, going, yeah, we knew that. Yeah, we knew that. No, if you want to grow, you've got to let go of your past and your old friends. Sometimes you've got to leave home. You can't go home again. But if you want to be a good friend, you got to let your friends grow. And even if that means seeing them in a new light. Yeah. There's one thing about the internet that I noticed a long time ago. There was a guy on the internet who used to do political commentary, and then later he wanted to do comedy. And he had a huge following in politics. And he had a fake name, so I don't even remember it anymore. But this is like 15 years ago. He's really big. He did these videos in a cave. It wasn't really a cave, but he called it a cave. And then later he tried to do comedy and be creative, and his fan base just wouldn't let him. That's a little bit what happened with me and ASMR. I started doing ASMR, and I lost a lot of people who weren't interested in that. But a lot of people who are interested in ASMR did get into that and support that. And I really got to get back to those videos. I have like 3 videos in the can. Anyway, I'm coming up to the end of this video, and I wanted to mention something. Scott, who's an old friend, and I haven't talked to him in a while, but he reached out to me a couple of days ago to tell me he had made a video about Canada Jin Sun, or Canada Jin 3, as some of you might know her. And he made a video. I'm like, why are you wasting your time with this old crap? That was just a ridiculous. That's something I don't even want to think about. It was so stupid. And to be honest, I'm fairly convinced that although I'm not a medical doctor or professional, she's insane. Like, there is no point trying to make any logic or trying to understand a person so illogical as her, and so either evil or insane. I prefer to think she's just insane. But anyway, she did make a video about it, and I don't especially want to talk about it, but it might be some interesting story for fodder. I mean, if you guys are interested in it. If you're interested in me talking about that, her comments and the way, because she responded to the video, and I'll put a link to his video in the description of this video. She responded to that video, and
No, I'm not a writer. Okay.
and if you'd like me to do, I'm not going to do a history like he did, but I could do a laundry video about that, I guess. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you soon.